Welcome back, everybody, to Quake Pro League. This is Week 10. I am 40 Lions, joined by Lethal. We just wrapped up the first series, and we will be heading into maxter versus cha1n. Lethal, how do you feel about that one?
Ooh, I'm not too sure. Maxter, you saw what he did last week. He was on a tear, 3-0 to hang, looking absolutely solid like anything else. But he had a lot of maps in his favour as well. But we've seen, well, we know what Max is like, let's be honest. His combat skills are, one of the best you've ever seen, really, let's be honest. But things in terms of cha1n, he's made little improvements, but everyone else in the Americas region have improved a lot quicker over time. We've discussed this a lot again. But we can see what cha1n can do here. I'm a little bit worried for cha1n this time around. If it was like 3 months ago, I would have said cha1n should be okay here, should be fine. But I kind of feel more inclined to disagree with that now and just go straight to the maxter cha1n, because from what we've seen so far, he's just been absolutely on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, both players, I think, respectively coming off 3-0s. I think maxter versus cha1n is probably a little more surprising than cha1n versus Sib. No disrespect to Sib, but cha1n has been playing relatively well, especially coming off of the game with Rafa, where he took Rafa to the edge, and Rafa doing Rafa things again on Vale, just the unbelievable comeback. But cha1n had that game, and being able to send kind of the end boss to his limits and make him play that hard is very promising for cha1n. So I think this one is going to be a bit of a slobber knocker, and I'm looking forward to it, but we'll see what cha1n has in store, and if the Magic Man can pull off a little magic, I mean, we'll see. That's what kind of maxter's known for. Great mechanics, very aggressive style of play, and he always makes it count, and it usually almost always pays off. So it's going to be a sight to see, Lethal.
Well, you've got a lot of style. Look at your headband, you can't complain, can you?
Yeah, this is all salty tears. That's what makes my hair curl.
It could be. Well, one of these guys will have some salty tears later on, depending on how this series turns out. As with maxter, though, we're going to see the picks and bans as well, because I think before, when we spoke about maxter versus cha1n in the last matchup, there was so many things going well for maxter. It was just no end. You could have a shopping list of all the things he's actually improved on and what he's been able to do as well. And I will say that depending on how the maps pan out, cha1n's got to be, well, I just hope that cha1n's done a huge amount of research just coming into this next matchup, because if you see anything like Exile or any other maps like that, then I'll be a little bit worried, just due to the fact that it's hard to lurk and play passive against maxter when he's just constantly just hitting these absurd rails. You saw it before the last time when he played against cha1n, just shooting him through the bridge on numerous occasions, hitting shots which sometimes some people didn't even think was possible, and just playing out of his skull. So we may see it again. We'll see.
Let's get into the pick bans and see exactly how dire it might be. As we got Deep Embrace, Runes of Sarnath, and Molten. As always, Lethal, please just run me through the picks here.
Of course I will. Well, do you know what? cha1n banning Exile, I don't blame him. Don't blame him in the slightest. But then again, maxter also bans Awoken. So for these two maps, it's both their best maps. They've done the right bans so far. And you can see now going into Deep Embrace, I don't blame maxter going into this at all. I feel like if you play against maxter on a map where it's hard to kind of lurk around or to try and restack or give yourself some kind of opportunity on the spawn, it's extremely tough because of his pure unadulterated aggression and just how he just suffocates you on the spawn. It's so tough. But cha1n has decided to select Ruins just to give him a bit of a helping hand, a bit of space and a bit of time to work with to try and figure out what maxter could be up to and time to adapt. And then also come to Molten Falls as well as the final map here. And maxter has actually banned Vale and cha1n is banned Corrupted Keep. So I kind of feel like more works in cha1n's favour, if anything else. But at the same time, I'm not surprised that they've both banned each other's best maps, just going straight into it.
Yeah, looking at Deep Embrace, I was going to say, maybe I give a slight edge to cha1n just because of the double jump, but then maxter has the mobility with Strogg, and I know he's going to rocket jump everywhere he wants to go anyway. So it might not matter for that first map. And Ruins, Galena versus Aizen, again, pretty standard affair. It's going to be a matter of, specifically for maxter as well, because he has the Galena, who can take control of the heavy area and make it an absolute nightmare to get into. Of course, Timmy, the turret, if you deploy it in the right area, it's just almost a death sentence guaranteed trying to get down into the heavy. But as Galena, if you can get your overstack going and just play towards the heavy side of the map, usually that's a W, but we'll see. And then Molten, Sorlag versus Nyx, Lethal. What is happening? Sorlag versus Nyx. That looks brutal on paper. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but either way, should be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a bit worrying. Of course, Maxter's going to have to keep an eye on the hourglasses, but with the saw lag, what can you do really at that point? You can waste it here and there, but it's going to be very, very tough. He's going to keep an eye on them, which means that cha1n's going to be on his toes on a lot of these occasions. He can't just sit back. He's going to have to ghost walk as well, just to try and get him out of a bad situation. But in terms of the default stacks, it's going to be very, very tough. And you can see that Maxter's going to go for those trades every day, night and day, however you look at it. It's like he's super aggressive. He wouldn't let you out of his sight and won't give you a chance to even breathe at that point. So yeah, I am a little bit worried in terms of that matchup. Like, the map is fine for cha1n, but the picks I'm not too sure. We'll have to see going into it. But like I said, it's all going to be about those hourglasses and how well he can contest those items and how well cha1n can use the ghost walk to his advantage once he gets a little bit of chip damage done.
Completely agree. We're just sorting out some technical issues, and then we'll get into the series. So everybody calm down. And Lethal, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, who has to take their finger out on this one? Like, I don't even know what that means. I've been meaning to ask you for weeks now, and I think chat would love to hear it. What am I missing? What are we taking our fingers out of, and what is that? I don't understand. It could be a learning experience for everybody.
It could be. It could be. You could pull your finger out of anything. It could be. I'll let the chat use their imaginations. I think that's the best way to deploy it. I know. Do you know what? Sometimes I don't even understand. It's just British slang, really, isn't it? It's just one of those things.
Right. Like in it. The finger might be in it. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't use that, but I know there are some people out there that do. But yeah,
I'm just trying to be cultured. I don't know.
But the best way of putting it, I'd probably say, it's time to crack on, time to get on the move, time to sort yourself out and trying to win some games, basically, just to not, kick back and relax or anything like that. So, but obviously there is other ways to describe it. So yeah, I'll leave that to you guys to think about.
We will figure it out indeed. But yeah, best of 3 coming up. We're just waiting. Again, sorry for the delay, but Strog versus Doom on Deep Embrace. Again, the mobility. Each player has their own version of mobility. I honestly think that maxter, with the crouch slide, he won't have the double jump advantage, but I think he's going to rocket jump everywhere he wants to go. And I've harped on this so many times before. Maxter, I feel like, is the king of getting rails off the spawn, especially on Deep Embrace. If he gets that frag near the rocket area, he's just going to post up. He's going to get that free 90 damage over at the shotgun. cha1n has to be careful of that. He can use the double jump right off spawn to kind of hinder that aim and maybe even delay his spawn a little bit just to make maxter go, you know what, this isn't worth it, I'm going to go grab an item. But I think that's going to be something to look out for, and it could come into play here, as I did hear the bell. We're getting into it, chat. Sorry for the delay. It's all my fault. You could blame it all on me. But Lethal, we're going to get into this one, and I don't know if I missed the predictions or not. Maybe just me.
I avoided it, actually.
Okay. It's a terrible place, so yeah.
But I think I'm going to be a bit ballsy here. I was going to say 2-1 maxter. I reckon a 3-0. I'm going to throw out there a little bit.
That's fair.
But I guess that's if he plays like how he did on Friday. Because when I saw him scrim against Yup, I was like, my God, like he's actually more insane compared to what he was doing last week. So if he played like how he did on Friday, great. If not, I'm worried about my prediction.
If he's going to win, he might win, Lethal. We'll see. Kaka's in the chat if you're a Maxter fan. Poutine in the chat if you're a cha1n fan. But we're going to get into this map number 1 of the second series of the day, Quake Pro League Week 10. We are live and into it right now, starting off on the POV of cha1n.
And let's see what shenanigans cha1n is going to be up to. Already going for that mega. The items aren't segregated enough to contest both, but cha1n is just eating rails and 3 for 3 from maxter there, and you saw that cha1n was perfectly railable, only had 90 HP, such a shame, just trying to make use of that Pika, but at the same time, maxter once again takes him out and gets the spawn rail, as you were talking about earlier, Foy.
How does the Magic Man keep making magic happen? I don't understand. I mean, if you're going 3 for 3, why not all the time? There's the LG push as cha1n does grab the mega, doesn't have anything to work with except for a shotgun, and down he goes. An early 3-0 lead, again off the spawn, another rail looking for it, almost connects after a little bit of a tickle with LG. cha1n finally fighting back, good damage, good rail, but cha1n finally gets the best of him, puts himself on the board, and hopefully stops the bleeding.
Yeah, maxter was just really overextending in that last bout. Just didn't care. He was like, do you know what? I'm gonna really give it here. I'm just gonna try and change the tide of things and get a little bit ballsy, and he was almost successful doing it here. Good pick and play. Will he about to survive? Yes, he does. 31 HP. Finds him on the spawn. Will he get a second? No, he does not. As cha1n dodging skills were just a little bit too much for maxter. But you can see here the heavy and the mega will be up momentarily. Still needs to recover from his last engagement. Just tickles cha1n just a tad, just trying to survive. He's going to prioritize the heavy, but cha1n has the same idea, but he's already taking a fair amount of damage from those rockets, and good LG as well to complement it further, and now extends his lead 6-1, and it's only been 2 minutes here for you.
It's just ridiculous, man. Like, what do? There's a rail into another one, doesn't even let him hit the ground. Lethal. I mean, eventually the bodies hit the floor, as it looks like cha1n might be drowning in a pool right now. Down 6, 2 minutes in already. There's the peeker play from around. cha1n gonna drop down, try and get some early damage, but maxter very quick to make sure that that peeker goes away and goes back in his pocket as he claims the heavy, and he should have another frag here. Easily dropping down, swaps to rockets to get that one, and this is just brutal. And again, I've lost count of how much damage he's gotten off the spawn rails, but it is a lot.
It's just absolute filth once again. Going into that murder hole, taking a fair amount of damage. That last rail was so close. Literally, I thought it tagged him on the toe, but he just barely missed it. Good return rail there from cha1n. As now maxter's just dilly-dallying around top mid, trying to back away with that machine gun. As cha1n is trying to get a different angle, but he's struggling just a tad. As it does get hit with another nice rail here from maxter. So he is railable, needs to be careful here. He was actually trying to get the rail off before the peeker came at him, but just a little bit too much. And maxter's done a good job of recovering, considering the amount of damage he's actually taken thus far. 3 minutes have passed. It feels like 10 minutes have passed, considering the amount of work Max has already put into this matchup. And you can see cha1n does manage to pick up the heavy, and it's all been maxter here so far. Already 8 items controlled by him, and 600, 700 more damage now. But good rails again from cha1n.
Ooh, almost gets a really nice pixel one off the spawn, and needs to try and avoid this damage if he can get away. Ooh, beautiful rocket from down under his cha1n now, starting to fight back. Showing that maxter isn't the only one that has amazing shots, but that peeker play, cha1n just loses track of it and gets taken down. Maxter, apparently a part-time drone pilot.
Certainly is indeed. 4 minutes have passed. Maxter gets the first rail. cha1n is going to be popping up to say hello, but he's going to say goodbye after those 2 rails straight afterwards. Good spawn rail once again. He's just not missing here, and we have to look at his percentages in a sec, but probably don't want to after those 2 shots missed. May have jinxed him ever so slightly. Sorry, maxter, as he's still trying to get top mid control. He's actually going to go around and flank cha1n. Good LG trying to get the rail straight afterwards, but does miss, but he is available. Needs to take a level of caution here, as maxter is currently on 51% to the 41% from cha1n, just trying to stay alive the best he can. He is still available, and cha1n, oh, that was so close from him, but does manage to survive. And now we're just at the halfway stage here, as you see there. Maxter cleanly takes down cha1n once again with that LG.
Sync error. Ooh, okay, cha1n fights back. I think he actually stole that heavy, and he's right back into this 11-5. And maxter, I mean, this is kind of the maxter that we know and love, playing hyper-aggressive, hitting all of his shots, but I have to feel like a little bit of last night is fueling him as well. Shouts to Argentina. cha1n takes down a maxter, though, trying to fight back, making this a 5 frag deficit. And again, on Deep Embrace, more than enough time.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time so far to work with, and there's absolutely, you know, by any means, he should be able to come back in the...
Wow.
No, okay, never mind. Max...
He did it again!
God, yeah, Max is just still continuing to be on a tear. It's very rare you see Maxter demoralized. Oh, and the mid-air rocket as well. Perfect timing. Waiting for the spawn once again, but this time round, cha1n will be spawning on the LG telly. But yeah, it's just... Max has very few people. He doesn't really get phased at all. Oh, the double jump there. Able to dodge that last rail from maxter. His cha1n, this could be his time to try and get back into this, but every time I say it, it's just not going to happen. The trade comes out. It's all about who gets the better spawn. You can see already just switching around from the mega to try and get these rockets, but already, once again, cha1n is dropping down onto the heavy, trying to do as much damage as possible, but cha1n will win that last bout.
And cha1n can get the rail spawn as well. Well done from cha1n, and there's a big opportunity here. That was a relatively clean kill. He's gonna have the Mega to his back. He just needs to not take a lot of damage here. maxter with a shotgun, almost gets it. Now cha1n is stuck in a horrible position. Can he hit a magic shot? And he does! The peeker! Mistimed from maxter, and this is big for cha1n as he gets a free Mega.
He certainly does indeed. It's maxter now still on the heavy. Does manage to pick it up, has the stack advantage. Just depends on how much value he can get from it here. Good first rail from maxter. cha1n's trying to go for the return. Just picking up that health bubble to make sure he doesn't die from that next rail. He's been absolutely out of his mind so far. Just cha1n is trying to bait out any attacks from maxter. We'll find him top mid. Good flank from cha1n as well. Just baiting out those audio cues. Still a few minutes left to work with. We'll pick up the heavy, and now he has the slight stack advantage. But once again, how's he gonna try and work it? We'll take down the peeker, as he's still waiting for maxter to drop down if he does. But looks like maxter is just gonna stand his ground at the moment with that height advantage.
I really like what cha1n is doing here. He's been able to stabilize, keep it relatively close again on Deep Embrace. 4 frags isn't a lot, so maxter does have to be careful. Doesn't have the peeker to play with. cha1n trying to position, good rail, but wow, maxter wants a little bit more, knowing he could fall back onto the Mega, but he needs to be careful. cha1n will pick up the heavy, and he should be able to aggress a little bit here, as maxter has no armor, but a good rail. cha1n needs to be careful. And another one from maxter. Can he hit 3 for 3? Bit of awkward positioning here. cha1n stuck on the low ground. Almost getting that flick shot. Oh, maxter just piling it on, and here comes the peeker. cha1n has to be careful. 12 HP after the splash. Able to steal away the heavy. Is maxter going to take this one? No, he's going to let him survive for now, falling back onto the Mega, but he knows that cha1n is rather weak, all things considered.
It's really hard for cha1n. He's just trying to exert himself in multiple ways, but he just can't really give himself any options here. Just taking all these rails. What can you do against someone who's just absolutely just hitting his clutch shots every single time? Of course, cha1n's retaliation is going to be to do the exact same, which he has done. He's had some great shots so far, but he's got no rockets left in terms of his ammo management. He's just trying to back away, but at some point, if maxter just pushes him, he's going to be perfectly fine because he's got no rockets to defend himself with. Does manage to pick some up, but look at this. A minute left remaining. maxter's got a huge stack, even after tanking that first rail, wow. And he's going to be flying high from the LG. Not looking too good for cha1n here, as it looks like maxter will be winning this first map.
And cha1n calls it. There was a minute left, but he didn't want any part of that minute, the longest 60 seconds of his life. And like that, the potential map victory for cha1n is gone in 60 seconds. So a little bit of Nicolas Cage there as maxter will claim Deep Embrace. And we just saw a lot of what we thought we would. Hyper-aggressive play, really good rails off the spawn, just insane amounts of damage. You spawn in and you don't even have the stack you're supposed to have. Very disheartening, but I did like the mid-game adaptation from cha1n. Able to slow it down, still keep it close, but maxter was just a little bit too much. The opening frags, the deficit was just too much to overcome for cha1n on this one.
It certainly was. The moonwalking did it for me, I think, for him.
Yeah.
Don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. The moonwalk, I mean, again, I think this is the maxter that we're used to seeing kind of week after week, but I think a little bit something from last night is like, I need to do this. I need to have this. So, yeah, he's tearing out all the stops. I'm looking forward to the second map. But, yeah, shouts to cha1n. Again, able to keep it close. It's not easy to maintain your composure and kind of slow things down and get back into it. He did a great job of doing that, but just, you know, still a little bit too much to overcome given the explosive start from maxter.
Yeah, when you're playing against someone like maxter, you need a lot of mental fortitude. It's so easy to get demoralized just thinking to yourself, it doesn't matter what angle or what advantage you have in terms of position, just seems to be able to just hit all these mad shots. And, you know, we talk about it time and time again, and do you know why? It's because it's a pleasure to watch every single time round. It's just incredible how well he can come back from certain scenarios and just get those spawn rails every single time. I think in terms of damage, maxter got like 1900 more damage, which is just crazy, especially on a map like Deep Embrace. And cha1n did his absolute best to contest these items to the best of his ability, considering what he had to work with in terms of his stack and, you know, weapons in his arsenal. It was quite a lot. 54% as you can see there. And look at the damage difference as well. Over double the damage in terms of rail accuracy and just in terms of rail damage overall. Just absolute madness. He's a madman after all. And like I said, thought we just celebrating the victory with Argentina yesterday. So yeah, he's living on a high right now, and it's going to continue on. And we'll have to see what cha1n can do to retaliate. But not going to lie, though, cha1n did respond very well on a lot of different occasions in terms of his counter reactions.
Yeah, and for those playing the home game, it looks like that was on cha1n server, so we're going to go over to maxter server. Could be not a good time. I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be Aizen versus Galena on Ruins. I imagine a lot more rails coming out from both players, but I think it's going to be about who can control the heavy area, just because it's such a detriment to go down there when Timmy's deployed. Also, if you get the totem economy going, you could really just get that overstack naturally with Galena. Play towards the heavy. You don't really even have to go towards the mega, maybe just to do some chip. If you absolutely blow it out of the water, you can control everything, but I think the name of the game here is going to be, who hits more rails? Is maxter going to come out of the gate and just start hitting 50, 60% rail right off the bat? I don't know. You're not going to get the opportunities for the spawn rails as much on Ruins, so that's probably the cha1n's saving grace, but we'll see. It's a new map, it's a new day, so cha1n has to just mentally reset and go into this. There's still an opportunity to come back and take the last 2 maps and take the series.
I don't think Galena is a bad pick at all. I think it's a great pick, really. Like, every time you see a Galena, you normally see it on Ruins, you see it on Veil. It's very good on Veil, considering, not considering, but depending on your game plan, really. But this will keep cha1n on his toes. It's going to keep cha1n weary of what he wants to do in terms of, like I said, even with the Aizen, he's got the turret for the early preparation for that heavy. But let's see what happens. Let's see if cha1n can bring this back. It is currently 1-0 with maxter having a fantastic start over cha1n, and already maxter picks up that first heavy, and now so far just even stacks, both just trading damage out. Maxter going to try and do a little bit more here. Does actually get 40 onto him, just waits for him to drop onto that light. He's so weak at this point, he can just finish him up with that machine gun, but decides to try and rail him. But now he's going to have to restack once again. cha1n is very lucky to get away from that predicament.
And maxter is bonkers. Never mind. Maxter is bonkers. He literally pushed into cha1n knowing he didn't have a rail, forced cha1n away, got his own rail, and then somehow got that frag. What in the hell, Lethal?
You can't make this as well. And oh dearie me, maxter can't really railable. He knows that better than anyone. Picks up a light in the courtyard. cha1n is lucky to be able to dodge that first rocket going through the telly. Maxter still holding the courtyard, but you can see cha1n was very eager to try and keep him in that courtyard, to keep him pinned if he hits that first initial rail. Sadly, he didn't, so will not be able to tie things up. Use that time to regain some HP. Takes a fair amount of damage from the turret as well. Has to back away once more. You've got to remember, though, this cha1n has got to keep an eye on these totem placements. Can't let things get out of hand. It's still got one totem up, but that rail was beautiful, but it's not going to be enough as cha1n has an even better LG in terms of damage count, and will tie things up with 1.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I don't understand that weapon switch. I don't know if he was out of rockets. I didn't see it, but the pop over the mega should win cha1n up, but no, the nails from maxter reigns supreme, and cha1n has to be furious. Maxter hanging on by a thread.
Certainly does indeed. At least maxter does have a totem to use. Still railable. He was railable by about 2 HP, so I was a bit weary of him going towards that light. So it was a risk worth taking in the end. It wouldn't have been, of course, if he got taken down. Just trying to stay alive. These rockets, though, from maxter. Wow. Do you know what? I think maxter's going to be okay with that. I honestly think he is. He will take that trade night and day, considering the stack difference there. He does hit that first rail, just looking to take down the turret as well, as the heavy is up. Does have the oversack, and this is where cha1n needs to dip his toes in other areas of the map here. Have a little bit of a wander around and just see if he can investigate, do some detective work on where these totems could be, because it's not like it's in the most unorthodox spots, but he will find them eventually. He's just keeping an eye to see if cha1n is just going to lurk in those areas. So he does find one, so that's going to give him a little bit of help, but it doesn't change the fact that he will have that overstack again in a few moments.
cha1n susses out one of them. So maxter will have his third back up in about 10 seconds. Overstack. It's going to be big as the rail is big. There's Timmy again. Decently deployed, but cha1n gets forced down to the lower, so can't really get the crossfire that he wanted. Unfortunately for him, and maxter able to deal with the turret rather easily. Decent positioning on this heavy, but cha1n's just going to get bullied by maxter as he has the totem to use and just drops right on top of him.
cha1n was just standing his ground just to see if maxter was going to try and hit him on spawn. Sadly for maxter, oh, that mid-air rocket was very, very close, but do you know what? He gets the direct anyway, cleans him up beautifully as cha1n was very eager to pick up that mega. I'm not too sure if he knew the timing or not, but he did rocket jump a little bit earlier than required. As maxter does hit the first rail onto cha1n. cha1n retaliates with one of his own, but because of the overstack, that flick from maxter. Still looking for one more. He's getting a little bit dicey here. He was very, very tempted. You could see it in his eyes. But sadly for him, no, he would not be able to get it. But Lizzie's going to try and see if he's down there anywho. 32 HP left. Hasn't really got stack to work with, but he's going to try and restack the best he can in this courtyard area, and does have to restack once again. This cha1n just needs to try and do a bit more detective work just to find out where these totems could be.
He's going to find a lot of them. He's also going to find a rail in his chest right there as maxter with a good shot dropping down to heavy. Should be able to get it, and he gets another one, and that's going to leave cha1n so weak and railable right now. And just like that, the stacks have completely flip-flopped, people.
It certainly did indeed. He's trying his best to stay alive. These rockets, like, it's either flick with a rail or flick with the rockets here. maxter just continuing what he does best and just surprise us every single time. It always gives us that entertainment value. As cha1n just trying to look and see if he can finish him up with that last rail. He doesn't. That was such a shame. That could definitely would have at least turned the tides here and made things 4-2 or 5-2 rather. We're just at the halfway stage. Just looking at the stats so far, is maxter up by 500 damage in this map. Both players have been contesting the items back and forth, and maxter having 50% now in terms of his rail percentage. Is pushing with the LG, makes it 6-1 here. I'm a little bit worried for cha1n so far just going into it, especially if he pushes in this next fight, as the rockets were beautiful once again for maxter. And it was a very clean fight indeed.
Oh my goodness.
Just these rails once again here for you. Couldn't make it up, could you? You really couldn't.
It's a lot harder to get spawn rails, and maxter still finds a way as he claims the mega. cha1n is just left with these desperation style rail angles. 8-1, 6 minutes in, and I just don't think that cha1n can bring this back again. Every time cha1n is even showing a little bit of himself, he's just taking damage, be it rail or rockets. maxter has all of the answers, Lethal.
He really does. Like, it's just, this makes it look like it's a normal thing, which is great to see because we love it all the time. So he's just doing a little bit of LG damage, not a huge amount. Managed to get 54 there, but the rocket's going to do itself justice straight afterwards. 10-1 on ruins. And remember, guys, this is cha1n's map pick here, but at the same time, this is maxter's server. So this is pretty much maxter's playgrounds here. He's going to be able to pick.
Okay.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay, so he stops him from picking up the heavy, but time is of the essence here. 40 still needs to find 9 frags in the next 3 minutes. It's looking pretty bleak here.
Well, if you're a cha1n fan, you believe. There's a good rail, actually missing the jump. Got him that extra damage. There's the rocket jump through. Goes flying on by, able to claim the mega. Not a bad sequence here from cha1n, but still trying to find him for 9 frags on ruins is going to be extremely difficult. Hits another great rail. maxter on the back foot now. 50 HP, escaping through the tri-bolt, back through the telly to rockets, and just kind of play in the Batcave. I mean, he has nothing that he needs to force out. Another great rail from cha1n, heating up at the right time, but I still can't help but think it's a little bit too late. Can he find this one? Or can maxter turn this into a frag for himself? No, cha1n finally plants him with that final rail.
Oh, that was a real shame there. So maxter was hoping he would push in with the rockets or the LG so he could clean him up, but cha1n knew better and played it a little bit more unpredictable. As now cha1n still having to wander around, having nosying around, you could say, just to see where maxter could be. But do you know what? maxter doesn't even need to be defensive in any way. He's got the stack to challenge him if he wants to, and why not? cha1n on 52 HP. maxter, these rails once again. Yeah, cha1n, he's had enough here. He did his absolute best, but at this point, he was just like, no, I'm done. I'm done. But whilst we're waiting for the next couple of minutes, just looking at the stats so far, you see there maxter had 1,000 more damage, 54% rails. Considering he fired 37 as well, that was huge. But one of the talking points especially was just due to the fact that in terms of the totem placements, and speaking of the devil, actually him just being up there at the moment above that courtyard, is the fact that cha1n didn't really find these totems quick enough in the early part of the game. He had that overstack for a good few minutes, but did manage to recuperate afterwards and was able to find some of these totems, but it's just too little too late. The damage already been done. You saw the scoreline earlier on, and in terms of item contention, it was actually pretty much the same. cha1n still did a great job just contesting these items, but just maxter just playing out of his skull once again.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand the frustration, but I just think that someone needs to get cha1n more towels because he keeps throwing them in lethal. No, I mean, yeah, this one was a bit of a blowout. So disheartening to see. Maxter will take the series 2-0, and it's, shouts to Maxter playing out of his mind, playing the way that he wants to play, hyper aggressive, hitting his shots. That opens the game once he hits 1 or 2 rails to do literally whatever he wants and just assert dominance. And unfortunately for cha1n, the defense isn't quite there. He can't really get anything going to stand his ground. He does trade out some frags, but the exchange rate is not in his favor. It's pretty brutal right now, but maxter going into the 3rd map, I don't see any sign that, this won't be a 3-0 like we talked about briefly.
Yeah, I was a bit skeptical when I predicted 3-0 just because I wasn't too sure how cha1n was feeling really, like coming into this matchup. And one thing I was worried about in terms of prediction, even though I said 3-0, of course, maxter playing on his server twice in maps 1 and 3. So that's why I was a little bit, unsure of what could happen here. But yeah, after that first map, it kind of told a tale really of what to expect in terms of the ingredients we now have. And we've realized now that maxter just absolutely flawless, which, are we surprised? Not really, like from what we've seen so far. And cha1n's got to try and get his head back into the game once again to see if he can scrape this 3rd map.
And what terrifies me is, again, the matchup. We're going into Molten Falls, and it's going to be Sorlag for maxter and Nyx for cha1n. And I just feel like that's not what you want. But again, it's Molten, It's a bigger map. You could use the wall jump to get away and the invis to make sure that the spit doesn't do anything. Maybe even a hyper aggressive play if you hit a great rocket and you want to chase it down. But based on how this has all been going, in maxter's way, the hyper aggressive play, the ability to get up close and personal with the Sorlag and a boomstick, I mean, and the spit, I don't know, Lethal. I'm worried. I'm worried for cha1n right now.
I think a lot of us are worried as well. And in terms of prediction, it's probably going to go even more one-sided. The only thing we can say there is that cha1n does have this server advantage. He just doesn't have the champion advantage. Going back to what you were saying about the champions, maxter's going to know exactly where cha1n's going to be. Of course, most of the hourglass has been around that heavy rail kind of area. You've got like, 7 hourglasses to work with there, around the nailed rail and the LG jump pad. So it's going to be very difficult to say cha1n's not going to be lurking around that area, depending on how much he wants to abuse this ghost ward to his advantage, even in terms of trying to get away from a bad predicament, or maybe getting a lot of chip damage in and then going in for the flank, or maybe trying to contest one of the items. It could be a number of ways to try and take advantage of his ghost ward. The only thing I worry about for cha1n is just like on the spawn, really. We know it's a little bit more difficult to try and, catch your opponent off the spawn, but because he's going to have, a good idea on his whereabouts anyway, it's the starting stack we've got to think about. In terms of like maxter, he's going to go in for that trade. Like you said, he's hyper aggressive, doesn't fool around by any means, shape or form, and he's going to take any advantage he can get. So don't be surprised if maxter's going to know where he's going to be a lot of the time, but the question is cha1n going to abuse those 7 hourglasses around that area? Is he going to always be lurking around heavy and rail and abuse the ghost walk as much visibility, or the better visibility rather, or is he going to play, a different game or have a different plan of action? But he's going to have to get a lot of chip damage in to try and face some of these engagements.
Yeah, I think playing distance and making sure he's keeping track of the vials and keeping Ghostwalk off cooldown as much as possible is going to be huge, because the minute he misses a rail, maxter's going to be in there with Sorlag. You have to Ghostwalk to get out of there so you don't take the buckshot and the spit damage. Otherwise, you'll just get absolutely melted as a Nyx because the stack isn't that big. Predictions coming in right now, heavily in favor of maxter, 87 to 13%. Can't say that I blame him. Given the first any given Sunday, Lethal, this could be cha1n's map, and every map matters as we get closer and closer to the Stage 3 finals. So, for the second series of the day, this is going to be the last map, this one between maxter and cha1n, and we are getting into it live right now, starting off on maxter.
All right, let's see what's he... Okay,
okay, just kidding! That's what that button did? My bad. I did it again. These big old feet of mine. Clown shoes. Clown shoes.
Oh, dear.
You all believed that we were getting into map 3. Joke's on you. This is my show now, and I like to play pranks. Ashton Kutcher is somewhere around here. You just got bunked. No, we'll figure that out, and we'll get back into it. Don't worry about it, chat. Calm down. Calm down. It's Sunday. Relax. I don't understand.
Just teasing us again, aren't you? How dare you?
Yeah.
But
I'm such a tease, Lethal.
I know you are. I know what you're like. I know what your shenanigans are. But yeah, I think that was the SA server. So I feel like they're just gonna make the old switcheroo and just make sure they're on the right servers. I don't feel like cha1n wants to play on that server once again. I don't think he wants to. It's not his cup of tea. So he's just gonna leave it be. But just gonna quickly restart him, and we'll jump into things here.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah. As usual, thanks for joining us. Quake Pro League Week 10. This is going to be the third map of the second set. Still have a long way to go throughout the day. Of course, the 2 featured matches at the end of the day. We'll have DJ Wheat hopping on for us. Well, with us. I mean, he's going to take one of our jobs for one of them, Lethal. But that's fine. It's always a pleasure to have him. And as always, just, keep an eye on the leaderboards. 4 weeks away before everything is solidified. You'll have the relegation matches. The bracket stage 3 finals are going to be underway in about 5 weeks' time, and it's always exciting to see the battle for the belt. Yeah,
still got a lot of time left. Nothing's for certain as of yet, even
except for Garpy,
because
Flea mentioned that Garpy is just done. He's got one more set to play, and even if he wins at 3-0, he's probably going to be either 9th or 10th. So, yeah, Garpy, I'm sorry. I was
trying to help him out there by not saying anything.
Nope, I had to snitch on him. I'm sorry.
Away.
I'm sorry. Cat's out of the bag. I don't know.
He's sorry as well. I think he's sorry as well. It's fine. But yeah, we will be seeing him in the relegation. But he might secure his spot again. We'll have to see.
Well, like we talked about during the break, they could still bring it home tonight, right? So who knows?
Exactly. That's the main thing, right? If anything else, going into this next matchup, it is the final map. If you're just joining us, Maxter is on a tear right now in this series against cha1n. Coming up 2-0, looking for that 3-0 victory, which would be just great for Maxter. Maxter's going to be looking for it here for the Sarnath versus Nick's matchup. We're talking quite a lot about it, and it's going to be a difficult task here for cha1n, but cha1n can definitely make it work as he sees fit, depending on the circumstances. As already using that first rail, hits the second, and cha1n is already looking pretty bleak so far.
Maxter on the hunt right now, grabbing all the weaponry he needs. I guess just missing out on a nail gun. And, at this point, I feel like he could probably get kills with that. Just barely flubbing the jump, but still plenty of time to get back to the heavy. Actually, the cutoff, cha1n will be there to steal that away, and that might be absolutely huge, Lethal. As now cha1n has a stack to work with. Maxter not as thick as Sorbet can be. Through the telly, the rail miss from both players here. As cha1n will aggress here, forcing out the spin. Can he make it happen? And he does! And wow, Sorlag actually broke space and time right there. What was that rag?
Yeah, that was interesting to say the least. I was waiting for that ghost walk to pop, but cha1n was very confident about, these rockets are so good. Minute 20 is already passed. cha1n is up. And he's going to be pretty happy with this start. It looks like he's not too demoralised from the first couple of maps, but we'll see what happens. It's still early days as of yet, just using that tri-bolt to try and dish for dirt. But do you know what? The rail's going to make up for it, down to 69 HP, and picks up the light and just getting ready to contest that mega, which you can see, just barely misses as Maxter just doing the do-si-do around the mega to see if he can pick up for free, which he pretty much does. And now vote the ghost walk does come in. That was a great time to use it, considering the position he put himself in. But cha1n still has the height advantage. Good rail as Maxter still pushing in, very, very aggressive here. And another rail for cha1n once again. And already you can see he's just flanking around to catch Maxter with his trousers down in that rail area. And now 4-0 in favour of cha1n in this third map on Molten Falls.
cha1n is playing incredibly well right now. This is exactly what he needs, a 4-0 start. Can't say that I really expected this, but this is fantastic to see. Can he keep it up? There's still a lot of time. And again, it's easy as a Nyx once you have item control and you're the aggressor, but I want to see how cha1n can adapt if maxter can overtake, get a frag, and start getting some items, because that's where cha1n has to play even better.
Certainly does indeed. Oh, the LG is looking good, but can he clean him up? 4 HP. Oh, that's very, very difficult. Just trying to bait him out there with that rail, just not going to happen here. Does recover. Remember, he was on 4 HP, and now actually managed to pick up that heavy for free, but at the same time, Maxter did pick up the megas. So still plenty of time left. Remember,
Wow,
Maxter does have... Oh, dear. Maxter does have the mobility, but then again, cha1n can definitely get himself out of a lot of dicey situations here. Good use of that tri-bolt, just keeping tabs on the man, making sure that he doesn't overstay his... Well, could say overstay his welcome, but it looks like he did. Does get taken down by that rail once again. And cha1n just looking to see if he can find out the whereabouts where cha1n could be. Is cha1n trying to keep him at bay? Just so aggressive here from Maxter, taking so much damage. We're able to clean him up. Yes, he does, and that's going to be 6-0 in favour of cha1n. And it's already been 4 minutes.
This is incredible. Much to Maxter's disdain, the cha1n train is laying out the pain. Can he hit this one? And lethal, we call that a little bit of just a shotgun play right there. Pull as that dinosaur gets picked out of the air, 7-0. I don't know if the predictions are in shambles or not, but it looks like it might be.
It might be. Might be indeed. 7-0 this early on as well on Molten Falls as the Nyx. You wouldn't expect that at all, and I'm not too sure what Maxter can do now. With the Ghost War, cha1n can get himself out of a lot of hairy situations, you could say. He's just going to bide his time. Misses the first rail. This Maxter just trying to find any kind of opening here. The heavy is still up. It's just using it as bait. Misses that second rail. But it's going to be, again, cha1n just going to leave it be. As you can see there, Maxter had the high ground. He had advantage airspace, especially in terms of positioning. It's going to be going through and actually be able to catch him from behind. Good use of that Ghost Walk. Good aggression as well. Now up 8-0 as we're just approaching the halfway stage.
This is just such a phenomenal display from cha1n right here. Playing it well, making sure that he has Ghost Walk when he needs it, keeping space, aggressing properly after he hits big damage, and hitting rails like that. Gambling a little bit, knowing that the Mega's up, but now I think it's a little bit too risky. Maxter has positioning, no tri-bolt for cha1n, and this is going to be a clean pickup for Maxter on the Mega. But with less than 5 minutes left, is it even probable, let alone possible? I don't know. For cha1n here is now he's stuck in a bad way going up the jump pad. Maxter with a good rail, but can he finish it off? Both players extremely weak, and cha1n picks him out of the sky again. Maxter just cannot frag cha1n. I lied.
He really can't. He goes flying, but actually, wow. No, how did he stay on? How did he stay on?
It's important that I didn't lie, actually, as cha1n somehow survives that onslaught. 7 HP. And this is just bonkers right now. Maxter flying through, almost gets railed, potentially off the map. That one could have been close. And I really thought that Maxter had the opening and had that refrag, but no, cha1n staying alive. Ooh, big rocket. But another good rail, and Ghost Walk to escape and make sure he doesn't take any more damage.
I think Maxter felt the same. He was backing away, but at the same time trying to keep tabs on him, but by the time he dropped, he was like, oh, okay, I guess I won't get the first frag. I guess it's going to take me a little bit more time, as cha1n is doing a great job just valuing his life to the best of his ability. But with 3.5 minutes left on a map like Molten Falls, like we rightly said, Maxter, of course, he has the mobility, but I think it's just too late now. He can just keep using his Ghost Walk and just keeping tabs once again on his hourglasses, just making sure he's always got it in his back pocket. But I can't see a way back for Maxter here. It's just way, way too late.
Yeah, I mean, 7 minutes in, 3 minutes to get 9 frags on Molten, which is a big map. I don't care how much mobility you have. cha1n can even just keep delaying his spawn by 5 seconds, I think. This is just cha1n playing defensive, chunking time, knowing that he pretty much has this in the bag. So, well done to cha1n. I really, really thought that this would be in Maxter's favor, especially the way he was playing, but cha1n came out of the gate commanding lead, and it only got worse for Maxter from there. So really, really well done to bounce back from cha1n and at least put a map in the series to make it a 1-2 in favor of Maxter.
Yeah, it's been a really weird series. Like, considering what we've seen so far, especially with the preemptive GGs, you'd think, right, okay, this is probably getting a little bit out of control. Max is going to probably do the same thing as he's done in the previous 2 maps on Molten Falls as well. But no, cha1n's just showing some signs of life here and bringing up a lot of flair coming into this last map of the series. I was quite surprised. It's a dominating performance. maxter really can't do anything now. Just a couple minutes left remaining. But then again, you know, maxter's already done his job, hasn't he? He's taken the first 2 maps. He's taken the series. cha1n been able to reset his mental fortitude coming up into his final map. Able to scrape a map just barely, but yeah, 11-0, can't complain really, considering how those first 2 maps went earlier on.
maxter does get on the board, but it took him 8 minutes and 22 seconds. So solid play from cha1n on Molten Falls with the Knicks. It's really, really well done. But as you mentioned, I mean, maxter already did the job. He got the set. Of course, he wanted the 3-0 because every map is money and, you know, position on the leaderboards. But cha1n able to put this one up. And convincingly, this one was not even close. So really well done from cha1n, especially after the first 2 maps. I could see, you know, mentally it's draining. You get upset, you get frustrated with how things go. But cha1n just kept his head in the game, using Nyx brilliantly, really.
Yeah, he honestly did. That's just why I'm saying it's just been a weird series. Like, this is not how we expected the final map to end, but good on cha1n, really. Just how he's just been able to keep his cool. Better to still scrape a map by Arcade win the series, but it'll keep him further and further away from that relegation spot. I'm not too sure really anywhere near it, but at the end of the day, every map is significant to make sure that he does keep away from that relegation area, even if he's anywhere near it, like I said before. But maxter, good stuff from him, bringing back that frag. Could be the last frag here of this series, depending on if maxter can be able to catch cha1n there. He will not be able to, but 15 seconds left. But all we can say is that cha1n, good job from him getting that 3rd map, but overall maxter's had a smashing series.
Yeah, really good set from maxter. I mean, this map aside, this was all cha1n, all of the way. And beautifully done. I mean, again, the Nyx versus Sorlag matchup, I never would have thought, but cha1n played it perfectly. maxter got off to a rough start. The gap was too big, and then just using the Ghost Walk time and time again to get out of danger. And also, a lot of the fights, I mean, cha1n was limping away with 20, 30 HP and just able to hit the clutch shots he needed to hit.
He certainly did. Just looking at the item control, you can see 19 items for cha1n to the 17 of maxter. So maxter was still getting the items, just wasn't really getting any value out of it, which is a little bit of a pain in the backside for him. But cha1n did a huge amount of damage overall across the board. All the chip which was required, and like I said before, brought a lot of flair to the table this time round. And maxter, you can see in his face that he's satisfied with the series already. And when you saw it was probably about 7-8-0, he was like, yeah, this is pretty much G at this point. It's going to be very, very tough to claw his way back by any means. But I must say that's a significant improvement once again from cha1n. It's, you know, it wasn't as one-sided as we expected it to be going into the 3rd and final map. And we have to see how maxter gets on as well in the future, because so far in terms of the rankings, he's looking pretty solid.
Completely agree, and I'm sure Beastleberry is very happy with the winnings from the prediction. 1.1 million channel points. That's a lot of highlighted messages. So yeah, cha1n, you know, upsetting the market a little bit right there. And upsetting maxter. Again, these players, they want 3-0s across the board. They want to add as much money into their pocket and as much, you know, points to the leaderboard, so to speak, so they can make sure top 4 gets, you know, 1st round buys. It's really important. Always trying to stay out of relegation more than anything. But there are the final numbers, 13-3 on the last map for cha1n. But maxter takes the series 2-1. Well done to both. I mean, maxter playing well, taking the series, but cha1n really coming out of the gate on Molten Falls. I cannot say it enough. That did not expect that performance from cha1n. Really, really well done, especially after the first 2 maps being a rough ride.
It certainly was. It was a really rough ride. I was a little bit cautious as to what cha1n was going to do going to his next matchup. I was like, you know, is he going to, you know, how is he going to be able to come back from this or catch up in any way? And you saw there, like, 704 more damage, a lot more map presence. It was a really scary fall, as, you know, we almost predicted it correctly, but cha1n ruined it. But which is fine, though, because it means that we still saw a lot of life from cha1n in that last map. But good stuff anyway. But maxter taking the series with a, you know, in dominating fashion overall.
Well, we got a lot more Quake on the way, even still. 2 done and dusted, but more on the way. So please don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. See you soon.